So this is the second part of my talk on the little nubbins slash seedless mango fruits that we get here in California. So what I have here is these three right here is Manila, the Verne Manila, followed by a Nam Doc Mai, and then followed by my own kind of seedling that I have that I'm just calling California Vermint. Okay, as you could tell with these top rows, if you can't see it that clearly, you look at this, there's all these little kind of like roughening of the skin. It's like specks and dots and almost looks like lenticels on a ripe normal size fruit. But on this, it's these roughening. I could cut into these right now and there's gonna be no embryo in the seed husk. Same thing with this Nam Doc Mai. As you can tell, this is a really funny shape for Nam Doc Mai. It's a much more elongated shape. For normal fruit, it should be much more elongated. These are kind of roundish, almost kind of oval, like an egg shape. So this is usually what happens when there's no embryo inside. Same thing with this. This is kind of short. The skin is roughening up. This seedling variety of mine, it's like a 5-6 inch long fruit when it's perfectly normal. These kind of roughen up. They don't really crack. They end up ripening actually, but the skin gets really rough because of this reason. But if I let this sit on a tree for like another month or two, it perfectly ripens. I could cut it and the flesh would be nice and yellow and you could eat it as a ripe fruit. But you can tell it's again, I could tell that it's this roughening of the skin. These guys, they don't crack that much. Most of the fruits, when they have this happen, they kind of either drop off, but the ones that don't drop off, they kind of stick around. They don't really crack much, but they just kind of get really rough on the skin. Okay, this is a Verne Manila, but notice how clean this is. This is kind of these fruit a little bit later, so they kind of missed the cool weather that we had, but about the same size and everything. Only difference that you could tell is that it's very clean. And if I cut into this, we're going to see a pretty decent size embryo on here. And that's what we're going to do today. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start cutting. See how it is. Okay, I'm using a pretty hefty knife because I'm cutting through this tough hardened embryo. There you go. No embryo whatsoever. And when you feel this husk right here, it's already hard. It's already hardened off. I'll cut another one just to kind of show. Sorry about that. There you go. Here's another one. Same thing, no embryo. Let me just adjust my phone a bit. Okay, this is Nam Doc Mai. There you go. No embryo again. And with Nam Doc Mai, this one kind of held intact, but I know that if I kept it on a tree a little bit longer, it was about to crack. The Nam Doc Mai, they don't when they have this kind of, like, I think it's fungal infection or whatever it is, they don't last long. They crack all the time. They crack so easily. And again, some varieties crack really easily. Some varieties don't. And like I mentioned with the Verne Manila, these guys, for the most part, they don't crack. There are sometimes they do crack a little bit, but for the most part, they hold on to the fruits that has these little tiny nubbins. Another one, I'm gonna cut it. There you go. No seed whatsoever. And this one is actually, out of all these, this variety actually ripens as this little nubbins. Probably tastes the best out of all these. I had some where it turns completely orange inside and it tastes pretty good. But again, it's not a full-size fruit. It's okay. Here's a very kind of clean fruit. You could tell already. Like if you leave this, they would increase in size, and there you go. Look at these. Here's the embryo right here. There you go. I could cut another one of this. We'll see another embryo in here. There we go. Look at that. And these will develop into full-size fruits. They don't crack or anything, but again, if you haven't seen my first video, go ahead and look at it. I explain a little bit more about what happens in California with these fruits. In California, lots of times, most people call these nubbins. So on a lot of varieties, they end up cracking. On some varieties, they don't crack. So the ones that don't crack, they actually end up ripening as perfectly fine fruit, just tiny miniature size. Usually they're very kind of sweet. They're pretty good flavors. Some people may say has even a more intense flavor than the regular fruits, just because of the compact size it has, and maybe flavors more condensed. Who knows? I'm not sure if I could tell, but on these right here, we could really tell already they're beginning to ripen, a little bit yellowing. Go ahead and look at my first video. I think I do a better explanation of what happens in California related to these fruits. Again, lots of people like these Verne Manila. You could kind of eat them as a green, crunchy mango. You kind of just cut them up in, some kind of sauce, dipping sauce, or mix it with chamoy, or any kind of sauce to eat it, green and sour and salty. Okay, I hope this helped, and I hope this kind of helps people identify the fruits. Lots of times the fruits end up splitting on lots of different varieties, and I think most people contribute it to watering, but I'm pretty sure that's not the case. Nam Doc Mai number 4 is a variety I've been growing for about over 20 years, and the first 10 years of growing this variety, I've was told several times that it's cracking because of inconsistent watering. That was never the case. No matter what I did, it still end up cracking. And the reason why is because of our cool climates that produce these little nubbins. I think the flowers in the cooler weather gets infected by some sort of fungus that causes it to abort the embryo. And when it aborts the embryo, for whatever reason, it kind of affects the shape of the fruit a little bit. Well, not a little bit, quite a bit, and it's very noticeable on the long fruits. And when it affects the shape, the other part of it is that this husk in here hardens off, and once it begins to harden off, for whatever reason, the fruits end up wanting to split a lot easier. I'm not really sure what's going on with that. Maybe the husk is hardening off, but the flesh on the outside is still growing, and then it causes it to split. I don't know why it does that, but I do know it's because there's no embryo in these. Versus this, with a nice size embryo, clean looking fruit. Okay, well, I hope this helps some of you guys. I'll be slicing this up and eating this as a green mango for today. Thanks everyone for tuning in.